It's a beautiful Sunday evening, day number 13 in the month of October 2024. Good evening, folks, and welcome to IMaH here on Metropolitan Television. IMaH is proudly brought to you by the Ghana Regional Authority, Guel PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, Meridian Port Services, and indeed Phoenix Insurance. The show is proudly powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority-GPHA, and our media partner on this journey of a lifetime is the Business and Financial Times, the BNFT. If you want to have a grasp of all that transpired on the show tonight, make a date and grab the Thursday edition of the BNFT, and you'll be able to see all that happened here on the show. Tonight, we are streaming live on our social media pages. On Facebook, we are live at Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Still on Facebook, we are streaming live at Port of Tema. And on YouTube, we are live at IMaH. As usual, we are going to be getting interactive with you. And so all you have to do is sit back, relax, and grab your phones and send us your messages and comments ahead via our dedicated WhatsApp line, which is 0538-037353. 0538-037353. Now, when the time is ripe and I pick signals from the production team, we shall activate the phone lines for you to call in and contribute to the discussion. My name is Kennedy Mona. We are going for a quick break. When we return, we'll continue the show. Please stay with us.
Good energy brings you quality choices with Goil Super XP. Available in many Goil stations nationwide. It is fortified with special additives that help your engine perform better and use less fuel. Branch into a Goil station today and energize your ride with Goil Super XP, compatible with most vehicles. Goil Super XP will feel ya, huh? Will be feel. Goil, good energy. Ja, ya, ya.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating great opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302 246 319 or 0243 690 492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
You're welcome back. We're now going to take a look at happenings in the port and shipping industry in the course of the week. Indeed, the Chief Executive Officer of Meridian Port Services has called for increased efficiency and a reduction in the 100% examination of containers. We'll tell you what we know about that particular story, plus the fact that shipping lines also in the course of the week had cause to reject allegations that they are a rip-off, that they charge arbitrarily and illegally. Let's take a look at these stories and more.
The Chief Executive Officer of Meridian Port Services, Mohammed Samara, has appealed to stakeholders in the cargo clearance chain to refine their processes to allow for increased efficiency. According to him, it is imperative for stakeholders and customers to collaborate effectively and provide constructive feedback to the company for enhanced service delivery. He was speaking during the company's Customer Service Week celebrations.
In this service environment, we really need to measure and gauge the service that we're providing to our customers. And the best way to gauge it is through these forums, where we can listen to them and understand what challenge they have and what they expect from us to do better.
Mohammed Samara also advocated for a reduction in the 100% physical inspection of cargo at Terminal 3 while reminding customers to adhere strictly to the terminal's truck appointment system to avoid delays and ensure smooth operations.
The experience that a customer gets is not just from GPHA or MPS, it's also from the statutory services. And we are really hoping that they can upgrade their kind of approach to business, to the speed of trade and the logistics chain in the same manner that the expectations of people are growing. So the level of inspection is quite high, and we would like to see, a more emphasis on the risk engine that the customs can develop to identify risky trade from non-risky trade and give the non-risky trade, the facility it deserves, because this is the norm in any other port.
Some customers shared feedback on the company's operations, highlighting some operational challenges to which the Chief Financial Officer for MPS, Steen Larsen, assured of a speedy resolution of the identified challenges.
We need a reliable solution where you can trust whatever payment way you want to do it. We ideally would like to make it 100% electronic. You do all your payments, you make all your appointments from your office, or from your truck, or from your mobile, wherever you do it. But you have to trust those solutions. And now today, my feeling is when we talk to customers, it works most of the time. And that doesn't work for me. It has to work every time.
The Ship Owners and Agents Association of Ghana has denied allegations that shipping lines operating in the country are exploiting Ghanaians. Speaking at a media engagement, Adam Imoro Ayana, an executive member of SOAG, stated that shipping is a business of conscience and that shipping lines have no motivation to shortchange shippers. According to him, shipping lines are not charging illegal fees and that every charge is a service rendered. Imoro Ayana emphasized that shipping lines prioritize their consumers and would not deliberately surcharge them.
Everything this company is doing, and I can tell you that it's for all other companies, the customer is the center. All what shipping lines are thinking before is just moving a box from one place to the other. But the bottom line is, what is the solution for the customer? And ultimately, who is ultimately the customer? We might see the person shipping as the customer, but we on the streets, who are the final consumers, become the final customer. So as much as they are thinking of only the person who is shipping, they are thinking of the person also on the streets. And that is why I'll always say that shipping, it's a business of conscience.
He explained that shipping lines have stopped charging cleaning fees, except for one, and steps are being taken to address this. He also highlighted the importance of transparency in shipping costs, advocating for the introduction of terminal handling charges to determine cost drivers, to itemize costs, to identify drivers and ensure transparency.
Some of the shipping lines do not even charge cleaning, or you do not see it itemized on their bill. If they charge it, I don't know. But it's not there. And those who also charge these cleaning containers, container cleaning fee, they charge the specific container that is dirty. That is what they are doing, except one line that we are yet to ask why they haven't been able to, also follow the footsteps of all others, because a charge should be a service rendered, and we all agree.
Imara Ayana asserted that shipping creates opportunity for global commerce and that shipping lines comply with the laws of every country. He said shipping lines contribute significantly to Ghana's economy. Citing figures for 2022, he revealed that 9 shipping lines paid $9.3 million to the Ghana Maritime Authority and the Ghana Shippers Authority and $12.9 million in corporate income tax. He encouraged understanding and dialogue to address industry challenges when they crop up so as to improve the business environment in Ghana.
Shipping creates opportunity for global commerce. Without that, where would we be? So it's imperative and it's important that we all appreciate and understand this industry, because no matter what we do, it will have an impact on our very being. It could be negative and it could be positive. That said, I'm not saying shipping lines are saints. Just like all businesses are saints, there will be challenges, but these challenges have to be dealt with.
Go Local, a non-government organization originating from Ukraine, is seeking to use the port of Tema as a logistic hub for the import of grains products from Eastern Europe for its sustainable project in sub-Saharan Africa. Since its establishment in 2016, the NGO has accelerated industrial, green, innovative, educational, and creative development of Ukraine's region, and with support from donor partners, is seeking to bring the world's practice of sustainable development and grant funding to Africa. The Ukrainian head of diplomatic mission in Ghana, Ivan Lukachuk, led Go Local and their Ghanaian partners on a working visit to the Director of Port, Sandra Opoku, last Wednesday to explore the potential for a collaboration with the port.
We see Ghana like a potential logistic hub in West Africa. So our president will meet a few times during this year in World Economic Forum in Davos, for example, and they spoke about creating the logistical hubs in Ghana.
We decided that Ghana can be a very perspective place in terms of replication of our activities, because first of all it is a development market, very like Ukraine, and secondly our partners from US and Germany were also working here, so we would like to leverage these connections here and to use them in projects, in bilateral Ukrainian-Ghanaian projects and solely in projects in Ghana.
The Director of Port of Tema, Sandra Opoku, embraced the opportunity to use the port as a conduit for food imports so far as it falls within the laws of the country and does not infringe on national security.
So with the feed mill, certainly I think it's something you should look at seriously, and then also use the free zones, which is close to the port. They have land that is developed, that you can acquire for a factory or whatever, so that once you have the port close by, the exports, once you export more than 70%, you qualify, under some exemptions at the Ghana free zones. So this is just to throw light on what we have.
Nana Kwejo Ameniampo, a local partner for Go Local, told Iron Port more.
Our purpose of coming here is to understand the operation of port and harbour, in as much as we are going to bring a lot of things from Ukraine to Ghana, because one of the pivot of the visit in Ghana is food security and sustainability. So without understanding the operations, the norms of whatever goes in port and harbour, we cannot be operational.
Management, staff, clients, and stakeholders of the International Maritime Hospital have come together to double up efforts in the fight against breast cancer during this year's Pink October celebration. The hospital has launched this year's awareness campaign under the theme Stop the Stigma, Be Supportive, underscoring the need for a more collective approach to fight breast cancer. IMaH will engage the wider public with various outreach programs throughout the entire month of October, in addition to its annual free screening exercises and discounted medical services at the hospital premises in Tema Community 3, all in an effort to lessen the devastating impact of breast cancer in Ghana. During the launch of IMaH's Pink October last Tuesday, various health practitioners emphasized the need for early detection in the fight against breast cancer.
Breast cancer is most common amongst women, and it's about 2.3 million cases that are diagnosed each year, according to WHO in 2002. In Ghana, we have about 4,500 new cases diagnosed every year, and about 50% of these women tragically die from the disease because they present late, because of stigma and all that, because they visit herbalists and all that.
What is IMaH saying? The cost of mammogram is fixed, but IMaH is doing a whopping 25% discount on mammograms and breast ultrasounds all throughout the month of October.
And if there's anything to take back home today, it's that we know that breast cancer is real. We know that early detection saves lives. And how do we detect early? Screening, screening, screening.
The launch provided an opportunity for medical professionals from IMaH to educate their staff, clients, and stakeholders gathered and disabuse myths and misconceptions about breast cancer so that they too can become informed ambassadors for the fight against breast cancer. Some survivors of breast cancer also shared their experiences and words of encouragement with others diagnosed with the disease.
All I want to say is, you have to tell yourself that I will go through this and I will survive it. If you don't do that, you will give up on the way.
I've gone through everything. My recovery was very fast. Very fast, oh. Even anytime I tell someone that, oh, I went through this, they were like, what? And they didn't tell us. I said, Master, the stigma alone about cancer. I couldn't tell anyone. And for now, I'm even able to tell people that this is what I went through. Hooray! Hooray!
All right, so welcome back. Those were happenings in the port and shipping industry in the course of the week. We are now going to take the word or phrase of the day. And remember, the word or phrase of the day has been fashioned to bring you up to speed with the terminologies or jargons we use in the shipping industry. Today's word is freight release. Freight release.
Freight release refers to the evidence that the freight charges for the cargo have been paid. If in writing, it may be presented at the pier to obtain release of the cargo. Normally, once the freight is paid, freight releases are arranged without additional documentation, also known as freight bill receipt.
All right, welcome back. We are now zooming into our discussion proper tonight. And tonight we are taking a look at the era of free trade and how to get stakeholders in the clearance chain, in the scheme of things, players in the export and import business to appreciate the rules of origin. These are rules that have been fashioned by the World Customs Organization to help aid, the clearance of goods and to facilitate smooth trade globally. And Ghana is no exemption. And so tonight we're taking a look at the role of the customs house broker. And this topic comes on the back of a training program the World Customs Organization held for both customs and players in the industry, that's the freight forwarders or customs house brokers in Ghana. We're taking a look at this story first. When we return, I'll introduce my guests and then we'll continue with the show. Please stay with us.
Members of the Committee of Freight Forwarder Associations are the latest to benefit from the European Union World Customs Organization Rules of Origin Africa program. This initiative aims to support the African continent to improve its capacity to deal with rules of origin and ultimately to support the harmonized and well-coordinated implementation and application of the rules of origin under Annex 2 of the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement and other regional and international commitments. The program, which had been restricted locally to customs officials since its inception, is the first one done specifically for customs brokers and freight forwarders who serve as intermediaries between government actors and traders. The Assistant Commissioner in charge of Trade and Tariffs at the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Fetchin Akoto, encouraged the private sector to immerse themselves in such training programs to equip them for effective intra-continental trade.
Knowledge gap is very, very, very dangerous. That's why I was very happy when I heard that our consultant had decided to take you on this program. And let me mention that this is the basics, and we have an advanced one. It shouldn't be the end. Invite her again to come and take you through the advanced program. And also let me mention it to your executives that every year we have an origin meeting at the customs head office. You can register and participate, where you get to hear the problems from other parts of the world.
The president of the Customs Brokers Association Ghana, Nana Fredua Ajimanoforiata, described the 3-day training in Accra as groundbreaking for his industry and hinted at more of such in the future.
So we're definitely going to take the conversation to the next level and see how, we can get training coming more frequently. And because, like I'm saying, this is groundbreaking, now the WCO realizes that for any training session that is arranged between, originally they only train customs officials. So any training session now that's going to be happening in this part of the world, it's going to have two components. The government section, that's for the customs, and then the private sector.
Lead origin expert for the program at the World Customs Organization, Mette Verdelin Azam, who was the training facilitator, elaborated on the concept of rules of origin to Eye on Port.
Well, rules of origin, it's what will determine the nationality of the goods. So in a free trade agreement, it will be mentioned what does it take for you? What do you have to do in your country for the goods to be originating? Do they come entirely from your country, or do you use inputs from other countries? And in that case, what is the work you need to carry out here in your country for the goods to be originating?
She emphasized the importance of properly roping in the private sector for the success of AFTA and other intra-continental trade agreements.
I think that training on all levels is very important, whether it is for customs, for the intermediate business, or for the business people themselves. We all need to understand the rules in order to take advantage of them. And traders need to understand the rules so that they can make sure their goods are fulfilling the requirements when they want to export to other countries. You cannot count on brokers or whoever to know that for you. It's the trader who knows his or her products.
All right, so I'm introducing my guests in the studios tonight. Straight away, I'll go to the lady that just spoke last, in the person of Mette Verdelin Azam, who is the lead origin expert, EU World Customs Organization Rules of Origin Africa Program. She's joined us via Zoom. Good evening, ma'am, if you can hear me. How are you doing?
Good evening, Kennedy. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Awesome. Good to have you. Also in the studios is Nana Fredua Ajimanoforiata, who is the president of the Customs Brokers Association of Ghana, Cuba. He's also the leader of COFA, that's Committee of Freight Forwarder Associations, Ghana, Freight Forwarder Associations. Council of Freight Forwarder Associations. Awesome. All right, so they actually facilitated this particular program that got the World Customs Organization and Customs to take them through the rules of origin last week. And also in the studios, Mr. Jonathan Dabra, Chief Revenue Officer, Acting Head of Tariff and Trade, Customs Division, Ghana Revenue Authority. Good evening, sir, and welcome.
Thank you, sir.
We're glad to have you. All right, so let me go online and speak first to Madam Azam and find out from you if you can explain to us some of the core principles behind the rules of origin and why these are key in agreements like the Africa Continental Free Trade Area.
Well, a free trade agreement is negotiated so that the trade can be boosted between the partner countries. In order to do so, we take away customs duties from these goods so that products become more competitive and they become cheaper, basically. But we want to make sure that this preferential trade only takes place between the countries that have actually signed up to a free trade agreement, for instance, the AFCFTA. So that is where the rules of origin come in. They are there to give the economic nationality of the goods. So they are there to tell us exactly what we need to do to our goods in order for them to be originating. And the core principles behind, we have two different kinds of rules. We have rules that are so-called wholly obtained. That would be goods that come from one country only. So, for instance, cocoa from Ghana, or an animal that is born and raised in a country. And if that is not the case, if we use inputs from other countries, the rules of origin will tell us the transformation that these rules need to go through in order for them to be originating.
Right. So in such an agreement like the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, we have varied players. We have the customs, we have the freight forwarders who you just trained last week. We have the importers and exporters and a host of others. Now, from where you sit, what's the level of appreciation of the rules of origin of these groups of people that are key players and actors in the chain?
I must say that from the trainings we have done in Ghana especially, we have been very impressed by the level of knowledge and understanding already. Of course, not everybody knows all the details, but there was already a quite good level of understanding within the private sector. In all areas, in all stakeholders, we saw that people actually knew what they were talking about already.
All right, I'll come back to you, and I would want to find out from you whether you are certain that where we are at the moment, as far as AFTA is concerned, we are headed in the right direction, or whether you think that there is some more we need to do in order to accelerate the pace at which we are expected to go in terms of implementation. But let me come into the studios and come to Mr. Jonathan Dabra from the Ghana Revenue Authority Customs Division and find out from you what role the Customs Division of the GRA plays in ensuring customs house brokers adhere to the rules of origin.
Thank you very much.
That's in terms of compliance.
In terms of compliance,
yes.
Yes. Thank you very much. With the free trade agreement, we will continue to train. Training is very key. The AFTA Secretariat has indicated their preparation to, build an AFTA academy.
Right.
It tells you how important training is in the implementation of free trade agreements.
Yeah.
So we'll continue with the training for customs brokers. This training would guarantee the correctness and completeness of documents that will be presented to us.
Right.
Because they serve as an interface between us and then the trading public.
Absolutely.
So it is important for us to train them on all these rules. And I must say that free trade agreement with the coming on of the AFCFTA is quite new to both customs and then to the customs brokers.
Yeah.
So training is key, and we shall continue to, push this agenda quite, forward beyond this point.
Right.
Again, adhering to these rules is very important to us, and customs controls will not be relaxed. I'm saying this because it's very important for us to, as much as possible, eliminate origin irregularities.
Right.
And ensure that it is those who qualify, or products that qualify, that enjoy the preferential treatment.
Right.
So customs will not relax on customs controls. The risk management, selectivity, program system will continue to apply.
Right.
So that where consignments are tagged as risk to society or risk to revenue, they will be looked at carefully. Again, we will be using post-clearance audits.
Yeah.
We are supposed to facilitate trade. Trade under free trade agreements.
Yeah.
But all the customs controls would also, so these rules would continue to be enforced. Again, stakeholder engagement. The customs brokers are very important to us.
Right.
They represent one of our important stakeholders. And their communication with the trading public, if they don't have the right information,
Right.
how would they communicate to the public? So it's important for us to continue to engage them in all areas of our operations.
Yeah.
So these three areas are so important to customs administration.
For the sake of our viewers who are watching, would you bring us up to speed or take us back to the basics and explain to us what rules of origin is?
The rules of origin provide us with the origin criteria. The origin criteria that will enable us declare that this product originates from Ghana.
Right.
It gives us the identity, the nationality, economic nationality of the product. So briefly, it's either the product is a natural occurring product, as in the cassava we have, as in the yam we have, they are natural occurring products.
Yes.
And we all know that the cocoa is from Ghana.
Right.
But when these raw materials are transformed into the chocolates, into the tiles that we use, they become products that are manufactured products.
Yeah.
And then the rules begin to change. So you are looking at substantial transformation of the product from that raw material stage to a finished product. So you're looking at change in tariff classification, you are looking at value addition, and then specific process that was used in the production of that particular item.
Right.
So it gives us the origin criteria. So you are looking at the wholly obtained and then substantial transformation. So we take them through all these areas so that when they pick the document or the document is presented to them, they look at it and then they will know that the correct rule has been before it gets to customs. And it makes our work easier.
Right.
And it promotes trade facilitation.
Awesome. All right. So let me come to Nana Frederick Ajumayo-Furiata, who is the president of the Customs Brokers Association of Ghana. He also doubles as the leader of the Council of Freight Forward Associations, that's COFA, encapsulating all freight forward associations. That's GAFE, QBAG, ACHAG, FAG, and so on. And you were quite instrumental in getting customs to support you to get the World Customs Organization, ASAM, to offer that training for you. You described it in the clip that they showed that it was groundbreaking. Why do you think it's groundbreaking?
Thank you, Kennedy.
First of all, yes.
And good evening to our listeners and my fellow freight forwarders out there.
Yeah.
If you grant me the opportunity, I want to also say congratulations to
Ochihini. Awesome, yes, I know.
Yes, on the occasion of his 25th anniversary. I mean, we salute him for all the good things he's doing.
Nana Nyankwada.
I had to actually get to Accra for this program.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You know, I asked you whether I suspected that you would have been there.
Yes.
All right.
I had to travel here too, for God and country.
Absolutely.
You know?
That's a huge sacrifice. Yeah, we're grateful.
Yeah, I describe it rightly as groundbreaking because from all the speakers that had gone on earlier, you hear them say it is the first time that they're training private sector. And so it's really groundbreaking. I mean, it's taken about 2 trips to the WCO and various levels of conversations to let them agree that it is a missing link. And like Mr. Deborah said, that knowledge gap is dangerous. I think Mr. Fetching also alluded to that fact. Yeah, you cannot train the regulators to deal with the intermediaries who haven't had any training or, partially trained.
Yeah.
So, it's because of this that we've been going the back and forth. So we are really happy, that finally we've had the first training go underway. Really, free trade is relatively new, even though we know of the ECOWAS, ETLS, ECOWAS Transnational
Trade Liberalization
Scheme and all of those things. It is fairly new because that was only enclosed to West Africa and it's quite old.
Right.
And I want to believe that the AFTA is an improvement on the ETLS.
Yes.
AFTA is Africa-wide, whilst ETLS was just ECOWAS bound.
Yeah.
And so the stakes are higher. And so we need more people to participate in this AFTA to make it succeed. Indeed, it is not by no accident that the president fought for the head office to be sited in Ghana. So we think as freight forwarders, we are the movers in the international trade arena. So for us to be able to be effective, we need to train and continuously train.
Yeah.
That's the reason why we've been doing all this back and forth. It's really, really crucial. You ask me the level, there are some forwarders who have been able to go for training. Indeed, I was told that last 2 years, customs ran such a training, but it is not cheap. It is really expensive to do, ROO training. 2 years ago, I'm told it was around 15,000 per head, and things like that. Obviously, you know that at this rate, it could be close to 30,000.
Right.
But we managed to pull it off and run it for free for our people because of the importance we attach to the subject area.
Right.
This would be my initial comments.
Okay. So, yes, I want us to take a look at the specific challenges that your members have in terms of interpretation of the rules of origin and how to apply them in their operations.
Well, rules of origin, like various speakers have already alluded to, it is the economic nationality or the product nationality. Like Mr. Deborah has already said, it's either wholly owned, as in originating from Ghana, like the natural products, or sufficiently transformed. So that's where the key issues arise.
Right.
And when it comes to that, it's a bit tricky. So that's the need for more training, because if we don't do that, trade will not be facilitated. And the whole essence of a free trade area is to make countries that participate, or nation states, be able to trade as a relatively lower customs duty. And to be able to take advantage of this, then you should really know your rules and know how to apply them.
Yeah.
Hitherto, the FTA, or Free Trade Agreement, all we're trained on is the HS code.
Yeah.
Basically, to be able to know how to classify and do evaluation and things like that.
Yeah.
But now there's another layer that has been placed on top. Yes, that to know the product origin, to be able to classify. Because some of the rules state that if the product is originating from, a non-participating country, or like we have a work in progress.
Yeah.
So it comes here. The rule says up to about maximum 60%.
Yes.
For it to qualify. And so, these are technical things. So we have a product like, let's say, a shirt.
Yeah.
For instance, this fugu that I'm wearing.
Yes.
Probably the fiber was imported from
fabric,
Egypt.
Yeah,
the fiber, actually, the cotton fibers from Egypt. It goes through maybe a certain country, and then they turn it into a yarn.
Yeah.
And then finally it gets to Ghana, and then we do the final touch to make it become this dress that I'm wearing.
Yeah.
So when you have to do an export of such a dress or this attire,
Yeah.
you have to be able to determine whether it is sufficiently transformed.
Mm.
And if it's so, the components or the various parts that came to Ghana, were they from non-originating countries or from, African countries?
Yeah.
So there's a technical word called accumulation.
Mm.
Yes, and there are various levels. So AFTA makes it easier for us because the idea is to boost trade.
Right.
So for instance, if it's like I've described for the dress, if it's coming from Egypt and it's going to, let's say, 3 countries, in Nigeria they are turning it into yarn, and finally in Ghana we are doing the fabric, it will still qualify as a Ghanaian product if we are exporting it to the next other country. Why? Because all those countries are supposed to be like in a form of a marriage because they belong to the AFTA. I believe it's only one country in Africa that's not part of the AFTA, that's Eritrea. But all the other places in the region, in the AFTA region, if we are picking, a work in progress, parts of things from there to operate, it will be treated differently.
Right.
Yeah. So this is why it is very important, so that we can be able to get the best rates for our clients, so that we can make the work of customs easier.
Right.
And that's why we need this training. Once we have begun, there will be no let, there will be no hint.
Right.
We'll be training as many people. We're able to manage, we're given a quota of 30, we ended up with 39.
Yeah.
And Meta said the enthusiasm she has seen
39,
here,
was it companies or individuals?
each person represents a
One
company.
company. And you were 39 in all, so 39 companies in all.
39 companies
Awesome.
from even though it's a Cuba program,
Yeah.
we had to give slots to all our freight forwarders because, the goods come and the importers don't go select.
And everybody from all the associations represented.
Everybody needs to, get some training. So it will continue. We'll be rolling out as the days go by, actually.
On a score of 10, 0 to 10, I asked Madam Azam the question, what her assessment of the level of appreciation of the stakeholders is in terms of the rules of origin. How would you grade yourselves as freight forwarders, your appreciation of the rules of origin?
If we take the generality of freight forwarders or customs brokers, I would say marginally. But for those who have gone through the training, who were told that after what we had gone through the basics and the further training, we are at intermediate level.
Right.
So we'll still need further training to get to the advanced level. And the plan is to also even get, the very good ones amongst us,
right,
to get further trained at the WCO and in Ghana for the trainer of trainers program.
Right.
So that it will be cheaper to be able to roll out and train all the forwarders from Elubo to Aflao.
Right.
So that they can all be sufficiently trained to become proficient. So I would say it's a work in progress for us.
Right.
Yes, there are people here who can do the work well. There are people who haven't had any training at all. So I would say, yes, we are not doing badly. But once you have
You don't want to attach any score to it?
Is that on a score of what?
0 to 10.
0 to 10. I would say we are between 6 and 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So let me go to Madam Azam online and find out from you. I said I was going to come back and ask you where we are at the moment and what steps you think that we need to take in order to accelerate the pace at which we seek to implement the AFTA agreement, and whether you think that everybody is on the same page.
Well, the first step we have to take is that members need to finalize actually the rules of origin in the AFCFTA agreement. There are still some outstanding rules. A little bit more than 90% of the rules have been completed, but there are still some rules that have not been finalized, meaning that for those products, we cannot say what is an originating product. What does it take for the product to be African? This is mainly the case for some textile products and for some vehicles. And just to promote our program, we have just last week published a study on these outstanding issues, a study that can be found on the WCO website. So once these rules have been finalized, we need, of course, as has already been said, make sure that everybody in the supply chain is trained on rules of origin so that all stakeholders know how to obtain an originating product, both for imports and for exports. And then Well, there is already this program called Guided Trade Initiative, which is a first step for some countries that have already started trading under the AFCFTA, and Ghana is one of them. But we don't need guided trade anymore. We need to go to real trade among all partners of the AFCFTA, so all 54 countries of the AFCFTA.
Would you be candid enough or, accommodating enough to educate us on what the Guided Trade Initiative is? Just a brief on what it is.
Yeah. The Guided Trade Initiative it started late 2022 with 7 or 8 countries who said, okay, we are ready for the trade. We have come up with our tariff offers, and now we want to trade under the AFCFTA. So it's a kind of handhold trade. So administrations and authorities have supported companies who wanted to start off or kick off this trade under the AFCFTA. So there has been a couple of exchanges under the Guided Trade Initiative, and in 2023 it has been expanded to more countries, and of course even more now in 2024. Little by little countries have started trading under the AFCFTA, but the Guided Trade Initiative only covers a little bit less than 100 products. So these are the only ones where there is no doubt as to the origin of these products. These are the only ones that for the moment can be traded under the AFCFTA, and 100 products, it sounds like a lot, but imagine the number of products that are produced in Africa and that could benefit from this preferential trade among the countries. So it's a step forward to kick off trade under the AFCFTA, but we need to move to real trade now.
My understanding is that there's some level of misunderstanding or misconception, so to speak, on the part of some stakeholders as far as the rules of origin is concerned. You have been at the forefront of training some of these stakeholders, and I'm sure that your training is not limited to only Ghanaians. I'm sure you've been to other African countries and all that. One thing that stands out that needs redress or attention is the issue of compliance. Can you tell us what the level of compliance is and what practical steps can be taken to ensure that all the stakeholders comply? Or we have an appreciable level of compliance, so to speak?
Yeah, thank you. I do think that companies want to be compliant. I think that is a general thing that we see all over Africa and all over the world, that most companies want to be compliant. Of course, there are the bad guys in all countries, but most companies want to be compliant, and that is the first step. And this is also, of course, why they request training and capacity building on these topics. So it's one thing to want to be compliant, but if you don't understand the rules, you might not manage to be compliant. So that is why training and capacity building becomes very, very important. And when customs can see that traders want to be compliant, and traders can see that, on the other hand, customs is supporting them, assisting them with training and capacity building, this will actually build trust among all the parties in the supply chain, so that we can all move forward in one movement, not against each other, but everybody together.
Right. Please don't go. Still stay with us. We'll come back to you. But let me come to Mr. Dabra from the Customs Division and find out from you if you can tell us how, as Customs Division, you have been supporting the implementation of AFTA, particularly with reference to the rules of origin.
Right. Thank you very much. Management of GRA has been very supportive since the rollout of the program. The AFCFTA in 2021, management created a unit, which is the tariff and trade, to handle all trade, free trade related issues.
Yes.
So all the free trade agreements being implemented in Ghana is handled from that office. We have 4 free trade agreements.
Right.
The ETLS, which is the ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme. Now we have the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. And then we have the Ghana-EU Partnership Agreement.
Okay.
And then the Ghana-UK Partnership Agreement. So we have 4 free trade agreements. So this unit handles all issues related to these free trade agreements. Again, management approved for the successful implementation of the free trade agreements.
Right.
Approved of training programs almost on yearly basis for all officers in the customs division. And this has been going on. In fact, like Meta said recently, we just finished with the advanced rules of origin training. It's helping us to build capacity and to successfully implement the program. Under the AFCFTA, the Customs Administration was selected as the designated competent authority. What it means is that we are responsible for inspecting the products, determining products manufactured in Ghana, and then issue the certificate of origin.
Right.
So this is a role that we have been playing under the AFCFTA. And so far we have approved of a number of products for over 60 companies in Ghana. And like Meta said, because of this preparedness of the unit, we were able to participate in the first guided trade.
Yes.
In fact, it was only 7 countries that came up to, test their systems under the guided trade. And we had almost all the, trade facilitation tools in place even before the rollout of the AFCFTA.
Right.
So we were able to participate in the guided trade. Yes. So again, if we look at the continental level, if you look carefully at the agreement, all customs administrations of state parties have role to play under the protocol of trade in goods. And under that protocol, there are 9 annexes. 6 of these annexes are the responsibilities of customs administrations.
Right.
So if one is, trade facilitation, the concession, rules of origin.
Right.
They are all, and then non-tariff barriers, they are all annexes that fall under the protocol on trade, and they are responsibilities of customs administration. One other annex, which is also equally important for the successful implementation of the free trade agreement, the AFCFTA, is customs to customs cooperation.
Right.
It's so important. And then the Annex 4, which is the trade facilitation. So under the AFCFTA, and again for all the free trade agreements, customs administration is well placed to handle these free trade agreements, especially in the area of training, capacity building, and then the inspection of these products and issuance of the certificate of origin for these products. So we are playing this role with the support of top management.
Right.
Yes.
So let me stay with you and find out from you what practical steps or processes you have put in place to ensure compliance as far as freight forwarders are concerned in the use of the or application, so to speak, of the rules of origin. Yes. And some of the things that you do to ameliorate situations when they arise, perhaps when they face challenges in the line of duty with respect to the application of the rules of origin, and perhaps they are in the process of a hit a snag. What are some of the things that you're able to do to help ameliorate these situations?
Right. So at the training, we took them through some of the things that we look at. One important document that every customs officer will look out for is the certificate of origin.
Right.
So at the training, we took them through the various fields on the certificate of origin. If you submit that document to customs and all the three mandatory signatures are not on the certificate of, it will be rejected.
Right.
And that is where they are most, challenged. So we took them through and indicated that, yes, these signatures for the manufacturer must sign, the competent authority must sign, the point of exit officer must also endorse it.
Right.
So we have trained them on these areas. But beyond that, we also took them through the online verification tools for all the free trade agreements. ETLS, the ECOWAS Trade Liberalization, has an online verification tool,
right,
which we use. We made them aware. The AFCFTA, there's an online verification tool, so that in your office, if the document is presented to you, you can do all these checks before it gets to us.
Right.
Because when it gets to us, we are also going to apply the same checks,
right,
so that we can facilitate trade. So online verification at the point of clearance, external verification, we do it, we write to the Customs Administration to authenticate the documents presented to us. If these go beyond us, there's also, at the continental level, there's also an online reporting tool of non-tariff barriers,
right,
that they can fall on and report any challenges that are beyond us. So we have made all these aware to them at the training.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. So this is our report here on Metropolitan Television, and tonight we are taking a look at the era of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area and the role of customs house brokers in appreciating or understanding the rules of origin so as to help facilitate trade and make trade quite efficient and effective. With us in the studios, Mr. Jonathan Dabra, who is a Chief Revenue Officer at the Customs Division Ghana Regional Authority. He's also the Acting Head of Tariff and Trade at the Customs Division GRA. Also have in the studios Nana Fredria Ajimai Ofriata. He's the president of the Customs House Brokers Association of Ghana, Cuba. He's also the leader of the Council of Freight Forward Associations, COFA, in Ghana. That encapsulates all the freight forward associations here. And indeed, we also have online via Zoom, Madame Mette Werden Azam, who is the lead origin expert, European Union World Customs Organization Rules of Origin Africa Program. She's there with us. We're going for a quick break. When we return, we'll continue with the show. Please stay with us.
Energy brings you quality choices with Goil Super XP, available in many Goil stations nationwide. It is fortified with special additives that help your engine perform better and use less fuel. Branch into a Goil station today and energize your ride with Goil Super XP, compatible with most vehicles. Goil Super XP, Wufilia, huh? Wubefeel. Goil, good energy. Yeah, yeah.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Oga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302-246-319 or 0243-690-492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
You're welcome back. This is our report here on Metro TV, and we're still looking at how to get customs house brokers to appreciate and understand the rules of origin in the era of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, so that we can facilitate effectively trade on the continent and in Ghana in particular. Let me come to you, Mr. Nana Fredo Ajimai Ofriata, and find out from you, from where you sit, how you think Ghana can benefit from this arrangement, this after arrangement.
Thank you for the question. In fact, after holds the greatest potential for taking Ghana out of our current dependency on importation. But how do we do that? It's by involving the private sector more and more. Beyond the leadership and duty bearers going to sit and put together these laudable agreements. And indeed, AFTA is a marked improvement on all the free trade agreements around the world. And AFTA has the potential to become the biggest, free trade area in the world. How do we take advantage of that? We need to be able to select certain products that we have natural competitive advantages in. And then, look for companies that will be able to, work in the value chain of such products so that we can, bring these, natural products to appreciable levels. Because naturally, Ghana has, when it comes to natural resources, the gold, the diamond, the bauxite, and all of that. If you ask a primary one child about the natural resources of Ghana, they'll all be able to tell us. But beyond that, what are we doing with those products? Now that we have AFTA, we have to look at investigating or determining which activities in the value chain we can be able to, take advantage of and build companies specifically to be able to do these things, like add value to some of these produce.
Yeah.
Look at cocoa. Between Ivory Coast and Ghana, we are the largest exporters.
Yeah.
Between Ivory Coast and Ghana, we get less than a tenth of the revenue from cocoa.
Yeah.
So what are we doing about it? So this is where AFTA works, because within Africa, like I've said, outside of, without Eritrea, all the 54 countries can participate. So for instance, if there's a factory in Nigeria that will be able to add value to our cocoa, we need to start to build this, Africa-wide value chains that will be able to push the product from one end to the other. Yes, so the cocoa goes into cocoa paste, into whatever. And then before the final product will leave Africa, everybody would have participated in one form or the other. Same applies to the mineral resources, the oil, the gold. We've had, oil discovered in Ghana since, I think, 2007. What really are we doing with it beyond just, extracting the crude and sending it outside of Ghana? What do we do to it?
Yeah.
So we get very little, aside the taxes and what we get, very little from it. But AFTA gives us the opportunity to be able to add value in the supply chain so that we can get some appreciable and then, boost Africa's position in the world. Africa is the continent that trades the least amongst itself.
Right.
So AFTA gives us the opportunity to change this paradigm. So we should be really working towards it because, otherwise, after will just be a cliche.
Yeah.
We have the headquarters in Ghana, blah, 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 but nothing happens to it. So we need to implement the fixes, yes, in a very timely fashion to be able to take advantage of it.
Right.
We have to invite the conglomerates we send them to come and help us, add value to certain things that we do here.
Right.
It will be the game changer for Ghana.
Right. Okay, so I've been told by the production team that we can activate the phone lines. So if you want to call in and contribute to the discussion, feel free to do so. The number to dial is 020-552-8353, 020-552-8353. You can call in and contribute to the discussion. We shall be going into the mails pretty shortly, and bring your messages. I've seen tons of them. We shall be sharing them with the rest of the world and eliciting some responses for you. But let me go over to Madam Azam and find out from you. I understand there's this phenomenon called the spaghetti bowl. Can you explain that, and how actors can navigate decision-making when met with when they are met with challenges as far as the free trade is concerned?
Well, the spaghetti bowl, that is a very known phenomenon that we use when we talk about rules of origin. It actually just talks about the fact that we have more than 400 free trade agreements in the world. And as we heard, Jonathan said that in Ghana alone, there are 4. So all these free trade agreements, they have different rules of origin. Even if they all use the same concepts, the rules are different because negotiators can choose whether to use one rule or the other in the free trade agreement. So now the spaghetti bowl just means that we have all these different agreements, and now traders, as well, of course, as customs, will need to know which spaghetti to pick from the bowl, which agreement to use for trade between 2 specific countries. Sometimes we have 2 different agreements or more different agreements covering the same group of countries, for instance, ECOWAS and AFCFTA. So how would now traders decide whether to use the ETLS or the AFCFTA? So we need to understand that the rules are different. We need to know which rules are most beneficial for us as a trader, so that we can choose the best way forward, because it will always be up to the traders to decide whether or not they will use a free trade agreement. If it is too difficult, if it is too costly, then the rules or the free trade agreements will not be used. It's a business decision. So it's important to know that there are differences between the agreements and understand where these differences are, so that we can choose the best option for the trader.
Right. Okay, so let me come to Mr. Azan before we take the messages. I just want to find out from you whether you have any plans of sending this training down to the private, like to traders, and business owners, for example. You've gotten through to the freight forwarders or customs house brokers, who are the interface between, the public, that's their clients, and then you, who are, customs. Yeah. Do you have plans to escalate this one and perhaps expand it and get down to traders so that they can also appreciate?
Yes. Thank you very much. That has been one of the main duties of the Tariff and Trade Unit.
Right.
That we respond to requests made by the trading public for training sessions and sensitization programs. So since 2021, when the unit was, set up, we have worked with Ghana Shippers Authority, going through all the regions, explaining the rules to all manufacturers and all their members. We have also worked with Ghana Export Promotion Authority. And frequently they invite us to give presentation on the rules they have a school there, and we go there to actually teach. So our doors are widely open. Any invitation that comes to us, we respond appropriately and go there. And so we have also worked closely with the National Coordination Office. It's a unit created under the Ministry of Trade that is responsible for the successful implementation of the AFTA program.
Yes.
We have worked closely with them. In fact, we have visited all the regions with the National Coordination Office. There is a national AFTA framework policy for Ghana.
Oh, yes, sure.
Yes. So we went on an outreach with the national coordinator, meeting manufacturers in all the regions, explaining the rules to them.
Right.
So I'll end here by saying that our doors are widely open. Any invitation that comes to us, we'll quickly respond to it and then provide the necessary. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
All right, so let me take some messages now. This one says, I'm an importer. That's Araba in Takoradi. She says, I'm an importer who is keen on recycling plastics for export. Your guest indicated a 7/10 understanding of the rules of origin, and I'm amazed considering that most of us can't still wrap our heads around what the rules are and what to do to fulfill them. Can customs brokers ensure that the paperwork they handle fully aligns with the rules of origin, especially when dealing with multiple countries under AFTA?
Sure. I mean, this is the whole idea about continuous professional development and continuous training. So Araba should not hesitate to, contact her broker or a customs house agent in this regard, because the whole essence of the agent is to be able to be the consultant between them and then and customs. So she shouldn't have any qualms about calling his agent, and the right thing will be done. Indeed, like you alluded to the spaghetti bowl, there are so many, FTAs.
Yes.
Ghana, we have signed on to at least 4 that we have told.
Yes.
Especially the IEPA, I must emphasize.
What is the IEPA?
The interim EPA, Interim European Partnership Agreement. That we have.
Okay.
That helps us to ship everything to Europe, duty-free.
Okay.
That is a very key one. So, we'll always be there to be able to guide them to us to, because of the kind of product you have, which of the, agreements we would want to choose.
Right.
Because the essence of free trade area is to be able to get lower tariff bands.
Yes.
And to be able to take advantage of the free trade area.
Right.
So our doors are open. Yeah.
All right. This one says, good evening, Iron Port. Very good topic tonight. Can you give us an example of a situation where the rules of origin have significantly benefited trade between traders in separate African countries under AFTA? Maybe Mr. Dabra can cite some examples, considering that he assisted in the Guided Trade Initiative. My name is Frida in Accra.
Examples?
Yes.
Can you repeat them?
Yes. Frida says, can you give us an example of a situation where the rules of origin have significantly benefited trade between traders in separate African countries under AFTA? Maybe Mr. Dabra can cite some examples, considering that he assisted in the Guided Trade Initiative.
Thank you very much. Yes. I think I'll take this example. We manufactured tiles in Ghana.
Right.
And it's amazing when we went to see the manufacturing process in Takoradi. Excellent.
Right.
And the products, the finished products of good quality. I can testify that that product has been shipped under the IEPA, and they enjoyed the preferential, which is the European,
the one Mr.
Yes,
Nana just mentioned.
Exactly. Okay. So they shipped it to Europe. They enjoy the preferential rates, and then they are also exporting under ETLS, and they have also registered under AFTA. There are products. In fact, I don't know whether the exhibition has ended, but in Kigali now, Rwanda, there's an exhibition going on. And if you see the products that were manufactured in Ghana, one example is a chocolate.
Okay.
And the rule is saying that all that we use in manufacturing the chocolate must originate from Ghana.
Yes.
But here is it. The sugar was not there. So the manufacturer, understanding the rules, imported the sugar from Mozambique.
Right.
So we had no problem at all approving the chocolate.
Yes.
And we issued the certificate.
Would the situation have been different if the sugar had come from?
It would have failed.
Not within Africa.
Outside Africa, it would have failed completely.
Okay.
We would have rejected it.
Outright, okay.
Because the rule says that all the sugar you are using must be wholly obtained.
Right.
All the milk, all the chocolate powder.
Yeah.
The chocolate powder, we have it here. The cocoa powder. Sorry. We have it all here.
Yeah.
But the sugar, I'm afraid we don't.
Right.
So he understood the roots very well, and he imported from Mozambique,
yeah.
which is also a member of the AFCFTA.
Yeah,
so we had no problem approving that product. So these are just a few examples of how manufacturers have understood and are applying the rules.
Right.
If you have any challenge, please call on us.
Right.
We are ready to support this program.
Awesome.
In fact, the AFCFTA is one program that has so much political will. All our leaders in Africa are pushing this. So we must also give it the needed support.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. All right. This one says, kudos to the panel. Customs brokers definitely need more capacity building programs to deal with the increasing complexity of international trade. Maggie in Tema sent in this one. This is Sami in Accra. I'm impressed by the work being done, but I would love to know how the GRA plans to keep the cost down for training for smaller brokers so we can all attend in future.
In fact, we have agreed.
Okay.
Because that program was oversubscribed. So we have agreed to follow up and ensure that it covers all the other members that, couldn't attend. So we are only waiting for Nana to bring us the invitation.
Yeah.
And we would respond appropriately.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Yes.
All right. Okay. So let me go to Madam Azan and take her final words. I just want to find out from you what role continuous education, continuous professional development, so to speak, CPD, and the capacity building programs play in enhancing the understanding and application of the rules of origin for customs house brokers, and what you would recommend going forward.
I agree with the two other panelists that continuous training and capacity building is crucial. This is not a one-time session. We need to continue for all stakeholders so that we make sure that all stakeholders know what rules of origin are about, know what we are talking about, and understand how to best use these rules of origin, because they are really essential to ensure that Ghana benefits from various free trade agreements. So there is nothing more important than continuous training. And it also, as I said, it helps build trust between all stakeholders when everybody knows that all stakeholders are contributing, are moving in the same direction. It makes daily operations flow more easily. So at the EU-WCO Rules of Origin for Africa program, we are more than happy to continue working with both customs, customs brokers, other private sector stakeholders, to make sure that we contribute to the economic development of Ghana.
All right, so before we allow you to go finally, if there are any final words you would want to perhaps give to Customs Ghana, Customs Africa, and freight forwarders or customs house brokers in Ghana.
Well, I just again like to congratulate both Ghana Customs, my colleagues there, and the customs brokers for moving forward with these training sessions and also for working together. That's what I noticed during the last 2 weeks in Accra, that traditionally we have had customs on one side, private sector on the other side, and we have seen each other more or less like, well, not enemies, but almost. But we can really see that all stakeholders are working together in Ghana, and that is what is needed to move forward. So just congratulations from my side.
Thank you very much indeed. Madam Mete Werden Azam is the lead origin expert, European Union World Customs Organization Rules of Origin, and that's Africa program. She was in Ghana last week, and she's had the opportunity of working with customs here in Ghana and freight forwarders or customs house brokers here in Ghana. We thank you so much for joining us all the way from your base. We are most grateful to you. We are sure that as and when we require your expertise and attention on this show, which is the only show for the shipping industry in Ghana, we call on you and you would always oblige us. We thank you so much and God bless you for joining us.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Awesome. Great. So let me come back to the studios and come to Nana Fredria and find out from you. Going forward, you've had this training. You were quite instrumental in getting it to the extent that you also were benevolent enough and magnanimous to share and call in some of your colleagues from the other associations to join in. 39 companies in all partook in this particular one. Going forward, what are some of your expectations from customs and yourselves as well?
Well, thank you. Like I said earlier, the idea is to roll out training programs, and we've had overtures from customs, Mr. Deborah and his team, to be able to roll out these training programs. So, we're going to at least make sure that everybody gets the basics.
Right.
And because of the arrangements that we have in place, we'll be doing a regional training. So that we'll take the Takoradi people, we'll take Tema, we'll take Accra. Okay. So it wouldn't be the case where we have only one national program and then everybody has to bring some participant to come over for the training.
Right.
I would now be taking the training to the doorstep of the freight forwarders in their respective sectors.
Yes. Okay.
That's what we'll be doing going forward.
Right.
We also want to appeal to the National Coordinating Office of AFTA and the AFTA Secretariat itself. Yeah. We've been told that there's plan for an AFCFTA Academy in Ghana.
Right.
I'm sure it's built along the lines of the WCO Academy.
Yes.
So when such a thing comes, into being, it will make our life a lot easier.
Right.
So the national office, I remember Dr. Farid and his
Farid,
team.
sure.
Yeah, they should reach out to us more because we haven't had such collaboration.
Okay.
So we'll plead that they turn their attention to the freight forwarders so that we can get this thing sorted out.
All right, Mr. Dabra, just in 30 seconds, if there are any final words to your colleagues
thank you very much.
Wrap up. Just 30 seconds.
The word here is closer collaboration. So it will be closer now.
Right.
And then a network between customs and then the brokers.
Yeah.
And then WCO is already in place.
Right.
But I would want to advise that we should have a broader network of customs brokers under AFTA for all the state parties, so that the AFTA Secretariat can push that agenda. So make a representation to the AFTA Secretariat that all the state parties must come together.
Our time is up. Our time is up. Yes.
IFCB, I wanted to say that it's doing that work, so we really... is the way to go.
All right. So this is how we draw the curtain on tonight's edition of IMaH here on Metropolitan Television. Our guests have been Mr. Jonathan Dabra, Chief Revenue Officer, Acting Head of Tariff and Trade, Customs Division, Ghana Revenue Authority, Nana Fredua Jimayo-Furiata, President, Customs Brokers Association of Ghana, Cuba. He's also the leader of the Council of Freight Forward Associations here in Ghana. We also had on line via Zoom Met Werden Azam, who is the lead origin expert, European Union World Customs Organization Rules of Origin Africa program. We thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for being a part of IMaH tonight. I would like to say big thanks to our sponsors, Ghana Revenue Authority, GWEL PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, Meridian Port Services, MPS, and indeed Phoenix Insurance. Remember, the show is proudly powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority-GPHA. We entreat you to watch the abridged version of IMaH at 8:30 p.m. on Ghana Television on Wednesday. We entreat you to also keep watching the rest of our programs here. God willing, next week we shall bounce back with another wonderful edition of your favorite IMaH program. My name is Kennedy Mona. We wish you a super week ahead, and God bless you for choosing us. Good evening.